Hi again then guys, and welcome to another top 10 countdown list for Gran Turismo, and in this particular pick we're doing a top 10 best classics. Now before we get straight into the list, there are a couple of clarifications which need to be made. The first is that this particular list will not be a countdown in the traditional sense. We're not working from 10th to 1st in the worst to best kind of way, because the cars within the classic category are just so varied and broad in scope that it's not really fair to compare them to each other in that way. They're just so different and useful for different things. So this isn't 10 to 1 in order, this is just 10 of the best, so they're all brilliant. Now, the second thing to note is that, as with all of my top 10 best lists, this is not for the fastest cars. We have discussed a number of different lists for different decades of the fastest classics, but that isn't the purpose of this list. This list is for the 10 best, and for the best you have to take into account the collectability, the value for money, the affordability, the handling, of course the straight line performance, and also how competitive they can be in real scenarios on the game. Seasonal events, online racing, career mode, that kind of thing. So, let's get into the list. Kicking us off first of all on my 10 best selection is the Lamborghini Countach. This is the older model Countach on the game, and the funny thing about Lamborghinis on Gran Turismo is that the older ones tend to actually be more useful. This particular Countach is the kind of car which you probably wouldn't expect to be one of the best track cars in the game. Older Lamborghinis in particular have kind of a reputation for being dangerous. On the game though, they're actually brilliant, and this Countach is one of the best around 500 pp racers in the game. It's also very affordable considering how fast and iconic it is. Next up we have the premium version of one of my favourite classics, the Ford GT40. Now I would love to put the Golf GT40 on this list because that's my favourite classic in the game, but that car is 20 million credits and it's a lot slower than this vehicle. As great as it is as a collector's car, it's just not as useful. This car can do around 290 miles per hour easily. It's far cheaper at 2.8 million credits, makes a superb collector's piece. It's one of the quickest classics in the game in a straight line, and although the handling is a little trickier than some, with the right tuning, it's definitely a monster. Next up we're going to a decidedly more toned down sports classic, the Toyota 2000 GT, essentially Japan's answer to the Jaguar E-Type. A lot of people really love this car. Personally, I'm not a huge fan of it. I don't dislike it, it's just not for me. However, even I have to admit that this is a brilliant classic collector's piece that is useful for racing. For its power and for lower PP racing, it's one of the quickest cars in the game. It can easily exceed 220 miles per hour without NOS or slipstream. The handling is fantastic, and at 160 grand, it's kind of expensive for what it is, but compared to many of the other classics, it's not that expensive at all. Next up I'm putting the most expensive car of this particular best list, the Jaguar XJ13, a fantastic looking 20 million credit collector's piece, and the reason why I'm featuring this car is because it's just so good at everything. It's a full premium, it's a brilliant collector's piece as far as classics go. You really feel like you've earned the car once you save up those 20 million credits. It's extremely quick at over 250 miles per hour. The handling is superb and easily more beginner friendly than the GT40. Plus, it's lighter than many of the other classics and is one of the most powerful of the 20 million credit selection. Now we have another extremely expensive vehicle, not quite as expensive as the XJ13, but at 15 million credits, it's quite a lot more than the Countach, the Lamborghini Miura. This is also one of the quickest classics in the game, around 260 miles per hour under its own power. The handling is not quite as good as the Countach, but overall it's a very useful PP car. You see quite a few of them around in PP specific online lobbies and seasonal events, especially ones which require a mix of good handling and strong straight line performance. The Miura is quite a big car to save up for, but once you do, it is a useful one. No top 10 classics list could be complete, of course, without the Chaparral 2J. Does anyone who plays Gran Turismo at this point not know about this car? Of course, it's one of the best classics in the game, one of the most iconic, if not the most iconic, Can-Am race cars ever, uses fan car technology to give it incredible levels of grip, handling and downforce, even regardless of speed, and overall, even with its 4.5 million credit price, it's definitely worth it. You're looking at insane speeds both forward and in reverse, the handling is incredible, and it's surprisingly beginner friendly. Next up, I'm putting another popular choice of online PP specific vehicle, the Dome Zero. We've discussed this car in best lists before, and it really is a brilliant car. For only around 350 horsepower, you're looking at over 240 miles per hour, easily up around 300 with slipstream and nitrous. The handling is deceptively good for such a strangely styled vehicle, and for $500,000 credits, it is expensive, but it's definitely usable and very, very competitive. Next up, continuing that theme of classic Japanese kind of supercar concepts, we have the Mazda RX500. It costs $500,000 credits, just like the Dome Zero, and like the Dome Zero, it gets a lot of performance from not a huge amount of power. You're looking at around 500 horsepower, which is of course more than the Zero, but the top speed is very good. The handling, I would say, is possibly better than the Dome Zero, and this alongside the Dome are vehicles which are so good that certain public lobbies online probably won't let you use it. Would you like a combination of straight-line performance of a Chaparral 2J, the handling of a GT40, and the real-world notoriety of killing multiple test drivers? Well then, the Toyota 7 is for you. But seriously though, it's a great car. The handling is fantastic. When tuned properly, it's ultra-light, has an insanely high PP, and the power is, to say the least, more than enough to get the job done. It's cheaper than the 2J, which is a great advantage, but don't expect it to be beginner friendly. And last but certainly not least, my personal favourite car of this entire list, the Shelby Daytona Cobra. This is a car which easily could and possibly even should cost around 10 or 15 million credits, but it costs 4.5, the same as a Chaparral. This is a car which doesn't see as much use as it deserves because it really is a brilliant classic race car. The handling is so smooth, it's perfect for twisty circuits which need straight line performance as well, such as the Nürburgring Ring, and overall it's just a really dependable car. Don't let the road-going Cobra's trickiness put you off. The Daytona is a totally different animal. So overall, that's my selection of what I believe the 10 best overall classics in the game are, and there are certainly so many good ones that didn't make it on. But if you would like tunes and reviews for each of these vehicles, you can check out the playlists and also the description below. And for now, as always, thanks for watching.